You open your eyes, but there's no light. The room smells like wet wool, rust, and old sweat. It's not a bedroom. It's a floorboard with 10 bodies packed so close you can't stretch your legs. The air is thick, heavy with breathing. Shallow, tired breathing. Someone nudges your ribs, not gently. Get up, horn's about to blow. You don't ask what time it is. You know better. In this world, time isn't told by clocks. It's screamed by steam. Your feet hit the cold planks. No shoes. You reach for your shirt, still damp from yesterday's sweat. You slip it over your shoulders, careful not to touch the sores under your arms. They never healed. They just got quieter. You're 7, maybe 8. No one's quite sure anymore. Not even your mother, who hasn't seen you since the mill took you in. That's what they called it, taking you in. As if this was mercy. The factory looms outside, black against the still night sky. It's awake before the sun, always. The chimney already coughs smoke, like it's impatient. You're not supposed to run, but you walk fast. Too fast for your legs, not fast enough for the overseer. Inside, the noise hits you like a slap. Metal on metal. Belts spinning, gears grinding. It's a language now. You don't hear it, you understand it. The machines don't sleep, and neither do the men who built them. You're one of the small ones. That's not praise. It means you're just the right size to crawl under the looms, pick up the snapped threads, untangle the mess, and keep the machines from jamming. If you move too slow, production stops. If production stops, someone pays. Not the factory. You. You kneel beside the first loom. The oil on the floor sticks to your skin. The cloth moves fast, faster than your eyes can follow. Your job is simple. Don't get caught. Fingers, sleeves, hair. Anything caught in the shuttle will get eaten. And the machine doesn't say sorry. A boy lost 3 fingers last week. No warning, no scream. Just blood and the sound of someone being dragged away. The next day, there was a new boy. The loom didn't even pause. You feel your stomach twist, not from fear, from hunger. You haven't eaten since yesterday's crust of bread. There is no breakfast. There's no lunch. There's a whistle at midday. You get 5 minutes. If you brought something, you eat. If you didn't, you pretend. One girl passed out last month, fell face first into the cloth roll. They dragged her out, laid her on the gravel, and poured water on her face until she blinked. Then they sent her back in. You're told to be grateful. After all, you're not in the coal mines. You're not on the streets. You have employment. That word gets thrown around a lot, as if pay is dignity, as if 4 pennies a day makes you more than disposable. But no one here is naive anymore. Even the youngest know, this isn't a job, it's a transaction. Your body for their wealth, your hours for their empire. And the worst part? You don't remember what it's like to be a child. You don't dream about toys or trees or games. You dream about silence, about standing still for 1 whole minute without someone yelling your name. That's your fantasy now. Because in this place, childhood isn't lost. It was never allowed. You were pulled from the looms. That should have been good news. It wasn't. It meant someone noticed you were growing, not stronger, just taller. And now, you're fit for heavier work, what they call advancement. What it really means is, you've become more useful to the system. Now you haul bobbins, wooden spools almost half your size, loaded with thread thick as rope. Your job is to run them between machines, not walk. Run. If you're slow, the machines run out of thread. If the machines stop, the overseer sees you, and you don't want to be seen. Each bobbin digs into your shoulder like a club. The older kids told you to pad your shirt with straw. You tried. It made it worse. The straw itched, soaked up sweat, and by midday it smelled like an animal had died under your arm. But you kept moving, because that's all the job requires: movement, not thought, not rest, not safety. The factory floor is hotter here, no windows. The boilers run close, and the air hangs with steam, lint, and the sharp bite of metal dust. You breathe through your shirt, but it does nothing. Your throat burns anyway. Your eyes water, then dry. You stop blinking. There's no time to blink. Another boy, Tomas, slips while carrying a full load. His bobbins scatter, one crashing into the gears of a nearby machine. Everything shudders. The line stops. For a moment, there's silence. That silence is deadly. A guard appears before the vibration even fades. No words, just a thick, sharp whistle and a gesture. Tomas doesn't argue. He knows what happens next. He's marched off toward the back room. Everyone else pretends not to see it. The moment passes. The machines groan back to life, and you resume running. You don't ask about Tomas again. If he comes back, he comes back. If not, someone else will get his load. There's no water here. A rusty spigot in the corner that drips more rust than liquid. You take turns licking the condensation off the pipes. It tastes like metal and desperation, but it's better than nothing. By the time your hands stop trembling from fatigue, the foreman says it's time for cleaning. Not for hygiene. No one cares about that. This is about production. If the machines clog, the owners lose money. And if the owners lose money, you pay. You're handed a rag soaked in kerosene and a small knife with a chipped blade. You crawl beneath the spinning mechanisms, scraping grease and thread out of teeth that could snap shut at any second. There's no lockout, no safety. If the worker above doesn't see you, or if he makes a mistake, the machine will activate, and you will vanish. It happened to a girl last winter. No one says her name anymore. Her family still works here. They were fined for disrupting operations. Her mother wears her shoes now. You wonder what your own mother would think if she saw you now. You wonder if she'd even recognize you. Your arms are covered in calluses. Your voice is hoarse. You haven't laughed in weeks. Even your shadow seems smaller. Lunch is a fiction. You chew on a strip of boiled grain someone smuggled in. It tastes like cloth. It was probably cloth. You swallow anyway. And still, the worst part isn't the labor. It's that you've stopped questioning it. You no longer ask why. You no longer hope for something better. You just count the steps between machines. The drops of sweat that hit the floor before anyone notices. The only measure of time is the weight of your body collapsing inward. When the bell rings at dusk, you don't feel relief, just emptiness. Not because the work is done, but because you are. There's nothing left for them to take today. Tomorrow, they'll start again, and you'll let them. Because that's what children do in this century. They don't grow, they grind. It starts with a cough. You don't even notice it at first. The air in the spinning room always grates your throat, but today, it won't stop. It rattles your chest like something's trying to escape. You clutch your ribs and keep moving. Slowing down isn't an option. There's no sympathy for illness, just suspicion. The supervisor walks by. He doesn't ask if you're sick. He asks why your line is dragging. You try to speak, but your voice breaks mid-sentence. He narrows his eyes, marks something on a clipboard, and walks off. That mark will follow you. In the factory, rules aren't about safety or fairness. They're traps, built to catch the small, the weak, the slow. You're not allowed to stop, not even to tie your shoe. If your hat falls off, that's an infraction. If your posture slouches, that's lack of discipline. If your thread snaps too often, you're wasting material. Everything is a reason to punish, and every punishment is designed to remind you of your place. This morning, a girl named Liddy tripped on a loose floorboard. Her pail spilled. Water spread in a silver fan across the tiles. She apologized, begged even. It didn't matter. She was marched to the center of the room and made to stand with her arms raised for an hour while the others worked around her. If she dropped them, she'd be made to hold bricks. You tried not to look, not because you didn't care, but because looking makes it real, and real is dangerous. You've heard stories about worse things. A boy once locked in the boiler room overnight, another forced to stand barefoot in the winter yard as snow piled around his ankles. No court, no charge, no paperwork, just decisions made in silence, executed with indifference. Even rest is rationed like a privilege. If you lean against a wall, you're shirking. If you sit, you're rebellious. If you speak to the child next to you, you're disruptive. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter if it was a whisper. The rulebook doesn't change. You do. And the smaller you are, the easier it is to blame. There's a boy here, Ewan. He's tiny, smaller than you even. He's 10, but looks 5. Yesterday, the yarn machine jammed. No one saw what happened, but the supervisor needed someone to blame. Ewan was closest. They called it a teachable moment. He was given extra shifts, no pay, just punishment. He didn't cry. He didn't even blink. That's how you know he's been here longer than anyone else. What makes it worse is that no one protests. The adults in the room don't say a word. They've learned too. Speaking up only trades one victim for another. The silence is survival. You're taught to look straight ahead, hands busy, eyes low. Sometimes, the factory gives you a false reward. A half break if production exceeds quota. It's 10 minutes, no food, no rest. Just a chance to breathe without the machines. Most of the children spend it standing still, staring at the walls like prisoners tasting sky through bars. You used to dream of getting out. Now you dream of not being noticed. And still, the rules change daily. What was allowed yesterday is a sin today. A girl gets scolded for humming. A boy gets his meal taken for sneezing too loud. There is no logic, only control. You once tried asking why. Once. The answer? Because that's how the system works. And that's the cruelest lesson of all. Not that you're punished for doing wrong, but that wrong is decided after the fact, based on how easy you are to punish. And being small makes you the easiest target of all. The day ends not with a bell, but with a grunt. A short, meaningless signal from a tired adult who doesn't care if you made it through alive, only that the machines still work. There is no applause, no line drawn between labor and rest. Just a silent, shared understanding. You stop when they say so. Your body is an ache without shape. Your feet sting, your back hums with a dull throb. Your palms are blistered into one raw surface. You don't cry, not because you're brave, because it takes too much energy. Outside, the air is colder than you remember. The factory heat doesn't follow you home. It clings to your clothes in the form of dust and grease. You walk back to the dormitory, shoulder to shoulder with other children who look too old for their size. Some limp, some don't speak. One boy holds his wrist like it's broken, but says it's just sore. You know he's lying. Dinner, if it can be called that, is a tin bowl of gray mush. Warm but tasteless. You eat without thinking, mouth moving on autopilot. A girl near you vomits after 2 bites. No one flinches. No one comforts her. It happens often. There are no beds, just wooden planks stacked along the wall. You pick the least splintered one. There's no blanket. You curl into yourself, using your own arms as a pillow. You try to think of something soft, something far away, like grass or bread or your mother's voice. But your brain resists. It's learned to erase comfort. Someone snores. Someone whimpers in their sleep. Someone else coughs. a long, hollow sound that doesn't stop for a full minute. You don't ask who it is. The last boy who coughed like that didn't wake up the next morning. The foreman said he ran away, but the door was locked from the outside. You stare at the ceiling, but there's nothing to see, just blackness, heavy and absolute. You try to count the hours you have before the next shift, but there's no clock. You measure time in pain, how long it takes for your back to go numb, how quickly your stomach starts gnawing at itself again. At some point, you dream. But it's not really a dream. It's a memory, twisted. You're back in the factory, only now you're smaller, slower, and the machines are louder. Everyone's yelling. You drop a bobbin and it rolls away, impossibly fast. You chase it, crawling beneath a loom, and just as you reach it, something grabs your ankle. You wake up sweating. There's a knock at the door, not a loud one, just a polite little tap. But it's not polite, it's the wake-up call. Already. Again. It never feels like a full night. You don't even know what a full night is anymore. You sit up slowly. Your legs scream, but they still work. That's enough. You rub your eyes and stand. The others rise too, silent, synchronized, like puppets pulled by invisible strings. You're not going to school. You're not going on a field trip. You're going to the same floor with the same machines for the same work. Again, and again, and again. You wonder what day it is. You wonder what season. But the factory is timeless. It has no summer, no winter, just heat, noise, and hunger. There used to be a boy who kept a rock in his pocket. He said it helped him count days, one scratch per shift. One morning, the overseer found it. He threw it into the furnace and told the boy, "You don't need to count, just work." The boy never scratched again, but sometimes, when no one was looking, he would tap the wall twice, his new system. He's gone now. You take your place at the machine. The noise returns, swallowing thought. And in that moment, you realize something terrible. You've stopped waiting for rescue. You no longer hope someone will burst through the door and shout, "That's enough!" You don't dream of rich strangers adopting you, or inspectors shutting this place down. You don't even believe in escape anymore. You just want to make it to lunch without bleeding. That's not giving up. That's surviving. And maybe, in this century, survival is all a child is allowed to want.